Before we begin our host spotlight on operations, infrastructure, and vision, I'd just like to give a big thank you to the Bank of Guam and the Hawaii Department of Transportation for their sponsorship of this morning's breakfast. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Rory Respicio, General Manager for the Jose D. Leon Guerrero Port Authority of Guam. Rory?
Thank you. I got to hand it to Jane. Where's Jane? She's a taskmaster. You're up next. You're up next. I have one more bacon to eat, but we give it up for Jane for keeping us on task, and Conchita, Miss Conchita, for the excellent emceeing, and the Hyatt Hotel, of course. I asked our CFO to be up here, and so we can have this joint presentation. So good morning, and once again, thank you for giving us an opportunity to highlight the Port Authority of Guam and to bring you through very quickly the evolution of the port over the last 50 years, particularly what we've done over the last 7.5 years and why the port matters. So we keep pressing upon the importance of Guam and the region, Guam being the only commercial seaport, Guam being the hub and spoke. Here in the region, we handle more than 90% of the imported goods. The regional connection for Micronesia, it's critical infrastructure for commerce, emergency response. You saw yesterday with the governor's message, with the admiral's message. Someone asked me if I wrote the admiral's speech, and so what we've done over the last several years is, if you look at the Master Plan 2023, and I want to recognize Blair and Mike, they're our owner agents before they moved to their other life with the HDR, but they were with WSP. We received a grant from Oil DCC to be the port's owner agent. And when I was general manager in 2019, I asked WSP to take a look at what the port needed over the next 7 to 10 years. Not to look at a 30-year master plan, but what decisions do we need to make over the next 7 to 10 years for the port that were very important and very necessary, and not just to another master plan for 30 years. And they were very instrumental in working with our planning staff and our team and all the divisions at the port, and we developed this master plan 2023, and then from there the board developed the 2024 look ahead, 2025 look ahead, and now the 2026 look ahead. And then that 2023 master plan, it was never transmitted to the legislature for very calculated reasons. That legislature was very contentious. We didn't want that to get mixed up in the legislative politics, so we asked the governor not to transmit it. It's a better legislature now, and that master plan 2025 is now before the legislature, and all we did is ask the board to amend the title from 2023 to 2025, but notwithstanding the formal adoption of the master plan, we still moved ahead as if though the master plan was adopted. And so for me at the port as general manager, I'm not risk averse. I just keep going until I'm told to stop. And so you'll see why the port is where it's at 7.5 years later. We know we never want to go back. And this time I'll ask Jojo, our Chief Financial Officer. He was the controller early on, but the board created this Chief Financial Officer position for succession planning, and so I'll ask him to go over the next few slides for you.
Good morning, everyone. So we normally, every year, we produce what we call a citizen-centric report, and we report to the citizens the performance of our agency. Each government agency is required to submit a report, a 4-page report, telling us how are we performing operationally, how are we doing financially, and how are we doing in the future, and what is also our issues, right? And one way for us to measure our performance, and one way for the board to know how are we doing every month we provide the reporting, is to provide them how are we as far as operational and also the number of cargoes that we handle. Here, this is what we call a container vessel net moves per hour. One way for us to measure our efficiency is to find out how many containers are we handling every hour, right? And as you can see, using the base of 2017 to 2018, that is when the administration of Governor Liu started and GM Rory started. After that, starting in 2019, all the way to 2025, with one of our biggest vessel that we service is Matson. Before, we used to service them at 21 container moves per hour. Currently, in 2025, we reached a peak of 30 to almost 40% improvement. Even before that, we were averaging around 26. Same thing with APL. It used to be 17 container moves per hour. Now we're averaging at around 25 moves. Same thing with Mel Lines, 16 to 24. And then MSA Kiowa, 12 and 17, 17 containers. I'd like to connect that also to what Mr. Sanghi was mentioning yesterday, that yes, equipment is very important, but for us to be able to accomplish this type of efficiency, it's the teamwork, it's the people that's doing this work, right? So another measurement is how many hours are the vessels staying at the port, right? So during 2017 to 2018, Matson sometimes on an average is 34 hours during that year. After the administration has started, they're hovering between 25 to 26, sometimes less than 24 hours. We're able to service Matson. Same thing with APL, between 26 hours before. Mel Lines, if you notice, it's not showing a improvement because they stay longer. They're mostly a transshipment type of container that waits for the other connecting vessels to come in, finish, and then, so that's the reason why they're working longer, right? MSA used to be 44 hours, and then for FY 2025, we were able to accomplish 32 hours for that particular fiscal year, right? This basically gives you the story of how many containers we're handling. We're averaging around 85,000 containers. Despite during the pandemic of FY 2019, we should have experienced a decrease of number of containers because of that the pandemic, right? But as you notice, the port was maintaining around 85 to 86,000 containers, peaked at FY 22 when we were already recovering, and then we saw a decrease in FY 2025 of around 83,574 containers, right? There was some improvement on the transshipment containers, but you notice the green bar, which is the local containers, has decreased in FY 2025. It's we reported in FY 2026 that we are going to rebound this fiscal year. So as we are reporting, as of the month of June, we are showing an 8% increase compared to FY 2025. So same thing with our non-containerized cargo, our break bulk cargoes, right? The gray bar is basically telling you the foreign vessels, and the blue bar is showing you the domestic vessels. Domestic vessels normally are APL and Matson. So if you notice, there was a sudden increase of the blue bars in FY 23, 24. You heard Patrick from Matson saying that they showed you that vessels that they now have a con-row, a container, and a row vessel. So you see the increase because of the con-row vessels that came in. It has increased starting in 23 by 50,000 revenue tons to 97,000 revenue tons, a short decrease. Then you see an increase in the foreign vessels. So as you heard that we are having those military improvements, construction projects were awarded. So we see the improvement in FY 23 almost 164,000 revenue tons of break bulk cargoes. So majority, when it's coming from the foreign vessels, are construction materials, right? So construction materials are coming from the Asian market. Then that's the reason why you see then a slight dip in 24 and 25. And then again, I'm happy to report that as of FY 2026, as of June, we're showing a 24% increase with regards to foreign vessels. And that's my report as far as the port performance.
Yeah. Thank you, Jojo. So when you look at all the metrics, and by the way, the vessel berth schedule that's kind of on a pause because we're, as I said yesterday, we're in recovery, and so our gantry crane 6 is still kind of coming online. But we pointed out what the consequences are when the gantry cranes are not online. For example, what is once a 27-hour operation using APL ship's gear translates to a 55-hour operation. And we've said that if one gantry crane goes down, it's going to set back the whole military readiness program by about 4 years. And so those are extremely important to the whole movement of cargo and for national security reasons, national defense reasons. And so why modernization matters. When I think in 2009, 2010, the port received a $50 million modernization grant from the Department of Defense that was given and supported by the Maritime Administration through the Port Enterprise Fund. And it extended the terminal yard, it bought some cargo equipment, did a water line extension, did so many projects. We're at the tail end of that modernization program. Now, Build Up 1 happened at that time. Everything would have been in top working order, including the 3 gantry cranes. Those 3 gantry cranes that you saw in the photo, the green ones, those were bought from the Port of Los Angeles and the robot used. And now they're in their second service life, and those need to be retired real soon. And so we went through this modernization program. Now we saw that the military buildup was extended, and now we're in need of replacing the gantry cranes, and we have identified other projects that we would support the military needs and also the Guam and regional needs. And so we're dealing with growing regional demand, aging infrastructure, and building resilience before the failure and not after. And then we've identified our infrastructure priorities. We continue to identify those priorities before these different agencies. And you saw that the agencies from MARAD, from Department of War, from US EPA, from all of our federal and local partners, we're all on the same page in what the port's needs are. And those capital improvement investments include the STS gantry cranes, the fill pier rehabilitation project. We have 2 fill piers, one F1, the other one is Gulf Pier, that's inoperable. Typhoon Mawar, we had a tenant whose floating crane broke free, plowed into Gulf Pier, and deemed that fill pier inoperable. And so we're trying to figure out the full fill pier replacement for that. But in the meantime, we received a $6 million grant from the OLDCC, Office of Economic Adjustment. It's an 80-20 match, and that's for a service life extension for Fill Pier 1. And then we have received a $22 million, it's a $22 million project, F2 to F6 hardening from MARAD. It's an 80-20 match. It's $22 million, 17 million from MARAD and 4 million from the port. And then we have some hotel wharf improvements, Area A fill storage facility where that's in need of entire replacement. We are also doing some terminal operating system upgrades, which is currently in procurement, and also cybersecurity upgrades, and also replacement of obsolete facilities. Those buildings at the port are 70 years old, but we've also, through the modernization program, have been able to rehabilitate those buildings. And so we're delivering without stopping interruptions, and what I've What we've also said is over the next few years, just imagine you're going to see one gantry crane come down, 3 gantry cranes come up, a $35 million crane rail system that's going to have to match the current crane rail system so that the 2 gantry cranes can operate. You can have a $22 million wharf rehabilitation project, F2 to F6, a tie-down plan that's going to have to happen before the gantry cranes are situated. And all of these capital improvement projects are going to happen all at the same time while we're still doing vessel ops. And so in order to have that kind of capital projects, we're also going to be bidding out a new owner-agent agreement because the current owner-agent agreement expires. And one of the task orders would be an integrator that would assist us in coordinating all of those different activities, to assist us in the procurement of the gantry cranes, to assist us in the procurement of the letting out of the construction bid for the crane rail, for the tie-down plan, for the wharf rehabilitation program. And so this owner-agent agreement that we have, that we started with WSP over a decade ago, right, Blair? This is not just a consultancy type arrangement that we have with the port. This is something that when the military buildup was occurring early on, this was a requirement from the Office of Economic Adjustment to provide support for local communities to see what assistance can be given to local communities. In this case, in its infinite wisdom, decided that they would provide a owner agent to assist the port in developing the needs of the port, to assist the community and the region, and at the same time have benefits to the military. So it wasn't putting the military first, it was putting the community first, the region first, and then as a residual benefit, it would be the national security. And so we're going to continue on that path to make sure that all of these improvements will continue without stopping or interrupting current operations. And so at the port, we're not just building an agency or running an agency, we're building an institution. And so when you build an institution, it begins, as Jojo said, developing a workforce, taking care of the employees, making sure that their needs are met. One of the first things that we were able to do is to negotiate a union contract. It took about 10 years before management would even sit down with a union and say, okay, what are you thinking about? In the 2018 transition report, I happen to be part of the transition committee for the incoming administration, and we committed that within 100 days, knowing that it took 10 years to even have this conversation. Within 100 days, the incoming administration committed to signing a union agreement. And so we made that commitment, and so on the 100th day, we were able to, through the board, have a union contract. And so when we reported going from 36 hours down to 24 and a half hours, and you saw the different carriers go down in their vessel berth time, that was with the same manpower, that was with the same equipment, that was all done because morale was up. And then every year since then, we do anonymous organizational climate surveys with about average 86.5% participation, and we get a 99% overall employee satisfaction response that their experiences at the port is anywhere from it's okay to it's really okay. And so we always ask the employees, what is it that they need? What is it that management could do better? Because we understand working in that kind of environment, the least that the employees have to worry about is their pay, their overtime, their working conditions. We've also done something that we looked at this wellness program where they can take up to 3 hours a week, go to a gym, go exercise somewhere. So I took a look at that program and I said, well, why can't we include this for therapeutic purposes? Why can't we expand this if they want to go get a massage, or if they want to go just get in their car and drive around for an hour? Because I've been hearing feedback that when the employee wants to sign an hour, they come back and they start getting asked, well, where did you go? So I told the division heads, I had a meeting, hey, if I'm an employee and I come back and you ask me, where did you go? You already stressed me out. Don't ask the employee, where did you go? What did you do? All you have to know is what time did they leave? You approved it, it's pre-approved. When did they come back? And that's all you need to know, that you approved it. If you approved it, that means that their work's not gonna suffer. Of course, if you can't leave because the work continues. You know, so this is the kind of climate that we've been able to build, you know, since the beginning. And so what was the benefit for the port? When COVID hit, we were the only agency throughout the entire island that was 100% operational. In February, we were notified by the Coast Guard that there was a vessel that was coming in, and one of its crew members had a diarrhea. They didn't know what the crew member was suffering from. Ops started, rightfully so, they're panicking. The governor didn't declare the emergency, public health emergency until March, so this was very, very new to us. So I went into Ops, had a meeting with them, told them we don't know what the situation is, but just imagine if they didn't come to work, what would happen? There's no food on the shelf, there's no medicine, and the entire island will be on a standstill. And so they kept thinking about it, but I said, I will come to work with you every single day. The governor is a critical nurse. She is gonna be with us every step of the way. We're gonna be guided by the CDC, Center for, those federal agencies will guide us. We would be, it would be safe. We would follow all the regulations. So long story short, we were operating this environment. We had a clinic. We had everything that we needed to do to take care of all of their needs. And so we were operational. And so we were able to do that. When Mawar hit, we were open within 3 days. But in order to do that, we had washing machines, dryers. We did feedings at the port. Same with Sinlago and Babe. And those are the things that we do to make sure that when their time comes, we're there for them. And you guys all know what I'm talking about. I'm preaching to the choir. If those employees say, hey, I'm not coming to work, the consequence of that, you cannot just imagine what would happen, especially in a community where 90% of the goods come through that port. And that's my just biggest worry. In addition to a failing crane or cybersecurity attacks, it's just the workforce. And so in 2026, so every year we're guided by the board passing these principles in a document. And so in 2026, we're taking a look at all of the things that are working every year. Every year we're very honest about, okay, Madam Chair, board members, in 2024 we said we would do this, we still didn't do it. This is what we're gonna have to do in 2025. So in 2026, we kind of start thinking about what is it we have pending, what are low-hanging fruits. We celebrated our 50th year of the Port Authority of Guam. And then we are starting to put in policy in either a general manager's policy, either in a board policy, all of these things, all of these changes that we have made, either small or large, incrementally, in these kinds of documents, because what I found there too, being there is, change is difficult. And I even tell the employees every single day, we should have change, even with the status quo. If you see something that's not right, let's change it. And then the biggest thing that is so frustrating is, oh, but this is how we've always been doing it. But this is how we've always been doing it. Just the other day, I found out something of how HR's been interpreting something, and I'm 7.5 years in, and after interpreting it, this policy, and even legal agreed with the interpretation, someone in HR is saying, oh, but this is how we've always been doing it, and it doesn't, it's, I guess you all know what I'm saying, right? And of course, change is difficult, and it's so, even though I'm still there, it's so easy for them to dial back the clock. And the biggest worry is we're right there. The Port Authority of Guam is just right there, where we're getting ready to receive an agreement from MARAD for these 3 cranes. We're getting ready to go out to procurement. The port lost its delegation of procurement for 14 years, got it back when I came in, because I went to the chief procurement officer for the government of Guam, and I said, hey, give the port the procurement. Look at all those documents you're signing. When I got my procurement authority back, the documents I signed for procurement, almost every day, it's a lot. And the reason why I was able to get my delegation for procurement authority is because the chief procurement officer at the time said to me, okay, I'll give you your delegation because I trust you, because when you were a senator, there was an oversight hearing and you did something that made me believe I can trust you. And so I said, well, don't give it to me right away. Give me a 6-month conditional delegation. She said, what is that? I said, well, give me 6 months delegation of procurement authority. You still oversee procurement of the port, and then you have eyes over everything we're doing, and if we misstep just even a little bit, just take it back. That's how much I believe in the team, and that's how much capacity I believe we have. And if we just are given a chance, I know we would succeed. And I always tell them, we only have 1 shot to do it right. And so we had our 6 months, and then she said, well, everything is good. Okay, 3 more months. And then, but we still had it. We never had a ding. And then same with the public auditor. We had clean audits, consecutive clean audits. Our bond rating went from negative in 2018 to positive. So I guess my point is, it's just the communication. We're not perfect, we misstep. We have a great relationship with the PUG. So they're very difficult conversations we have with the PUG. It's hard to face our customers when we have extended vessel ops time, because they have a huge financial impact when they just stay longer than they can. But the upside to it is, we don't hide, at least I don't. And if we did something wrong, we're trying to find a way to remedy it. For example, there's nothing in the tariff or no policy right now that says if we use a ship's gear, the port compensates for that. So I was telling the carriers that have ship's gear that we're gonna think about some kind of way to remediate the carriers that use their ship's gear. It's only fair, because when you pull up to the port to get serviced, your vessels get serviced, that's part of the service, and then you're not getting that service, and so we're...
Rory, could you explain the PUG?
Oh, the PUG is a Port Users Group. Thank you. The Port Users Group, they represent every single stakeholder at the port, APL, Matson, Mail Lines, also the tenants of the port. So every month they have a meeting, and although they're in a very competitive environment, at least while they meet, they agree that, the port's the priority. And so they kind of set aside their competitive edge, and then they think about what's in the best interest of the port. And so it's always, it's a sight to see, because they're at the same table. And then when it was typhoon recovery, everybody's focused on, how do we get the port up? How do we get the port up and running? Even the field companies, how do we get the port up and running? And so when you go down to the port today, you're gonna see this area called Carvers Island, and it's an area of Guam that's really functioning unlike, it's unimaginable, because everybody knows what they need to do, and everything is getting done the way it should be done. Just like when Senator Hunt talked about the dollar-for-dollar lease credit offset, Black Construction has a huge contract with the military, $571 million for the glass breakwater project. And the Black Construction kept saying, your rates are too high. So I kept saying, go somewhere else. to try to say, well, you know, the appraisal's coming out this way. So I talked to our appraiser. Why are you doing a market value valuation? Do an investor valuation tied to that glass breakwater project, and then you'll see that it's comparable. Because he needs our property in order to finish his project. And so it's getting the commercial staff to understand in that mindset that when your neighbor has a project and they need your land to finish their project, why wouldn't you think that your value is higher than the open market? And so as a result, what was once thought of to be like a $500,000 lease for 4 years, we got it for $10.5 million. And so in exchange, the dollar for dollar lease credit offset, the board already authorized like upwards of $8 million, but that meant that he rehabilitated H. Wharf, Black Construction. They're gonna pave the road to Family Beach. They're gonna have a bathroom shower facility there. There's an area that they built warehouse office space. They cleaned up this area that was historically a dumping ground for like scrap metal. If you go into that area, it's now like, it's a commercial space. And so after 4 years, the port gets to lease that area out for commercial space, and that's gonna be revenue. And the way this is set up is, the revenues recognized 100%, $0 for cash outlay, and it's 100% for capitalized expense. And so it's every CFO's dream come true because it helps our debt service credit ratio. Because it's revenue for the port, we didn't spend any money to do it, and then we get to capture that for our debt service ratio. So, I mean, people are wondering, why is the port profitable? The port's profitable because we're doing these kinds of things. We have a board that supports us. We have a governor that supports us. We have an oversight chair that supports us. We have employees that are driving this mission every single day. And then we have an industry that, that supports us as well. And I don't know how much more time I have, but we'll take any questions as well. Yeah. I think. And I just talked about our commitment. And I just talked about looking ahead. Okay.